Sony are hotly tipped to unveil PlayStation 4 on February the 20th at their PlayStation 2013 event in New York, and it'll be streamed live on the net. Bottom line, Sony are inviting the world to the unveiling of a new Ridge Racer on PS Vita. On the official PlayStation website, the event is advertised with the tagline, "Be the first to know." The web is flooding with rumours, so we've filtered the most credible info to give you the most accurate picture of PlayStation 4 available pretty much anywhere in the world. We're going to talk about specs, graphics, games, controllers, used games and the cloud, and finally release date and prices. For those who don't know me, which is probably everybody, I'm Daniel Dawkins, ex-editor of PSM3 magazine. I've worked closely with PlayStation for 12 years, and while things can change, the following is what my contacts tell me is the closest picture to the truth. PS4 is a PC in a box. In the past, consoles used to be a series of expensive, bespoke chips sold at a loss, but subsidised by game sales. Most notably, PlayStation 3 used a complex, unique and expensive cell chip architecture. Its creator, Ken Kutaragi, had a dream that the cell chip would one day appear in household appliances like your fridge and boost PS3's processing capacity. Now, last time I went for a pint of milk, that hadn't happened. In fact, my fridge keeps ham at 3 degrees C, but frankly did a terrible job of eliminating slowdown in Skyrim. Sony lost $5.6 billion last year, and console game sales were down about 20 to 30% globally, making that subsidy model far too risky. As a result, PS4 will use off-the-shelf chips and cost Sony less to make. The core processor is an AMD 8-core CPU running at 1.66 GHz with a system on-chip codename Liverpool. This should run alongside a Radeon HD graphics card, most likely a modified 7970M. The volume of RAM is easier to understand. PS4 is tipped to use 4GB of GDDR5 RAM. Not only is that 8 times the size of PS3's memory, but it uses a form of high-speed RAM that moves data at 176 GB per second. In human words, they'll do a more effective job of eliminating slowdown in next-gen Skyrim than your fridge freezer. Microsoft Next Xbox is tipped to offer 8GB of RAM, but of the slower DDR3 variety. And we hear Sony is still debating whether to upgrade to 8GB in their own machine after being pressed by developers. What does it all mean? Well, PS4 should be more powerful than the next Xbox and much easier to develop for than the PlayStation 3. Nobody really knows what PlayStation 4 games will look like, but we've been told that PS4 will run games like Star Wars 1313 without breaking a sweat. As a baseline, look at high-end PC visuals like Battlefield 3, only with potentially more refined lighting, shadowing and particle effects. The most tantalising glimpse of next-gen visuals so far is Square Enix's Luminous engine, shown behind closed doors at last year's E3. In truth, we can't imagine full-blown action games like Call of Duty running at this quality. Not yet, but Luminous does run on existing high-end PC tech, only with a very large volume of RAM. I saw it live at last year's E3, and when they started pausing the action and manipulating it in real time, it's the first time I've been genuinely astonished by console graphics, honestly, in years. Rumours suggest PS4 will support Ultra HD 4K gaming. In truth, this is unlikely. Sony promised us 1080p on PS3, but only a handful of games arrived, and even then limited titles like Flow or Wipeout. Most PS3 games run at lower resolution to maintain frame rates. Black Ops runs at 880x720 and not the full-scale 1920x1080p. PlayStation 4 might offer some form of 4K movies and some novelty games, but most games will run in 1080p at 60 frames a second, which is what Sony claimed only 7 years ago. An uncompressed 4K video trailer of The Amazing Spider-Man takes up 500GB of disk space, which is 10 Blu-rays. Every key first-party Sony studio has been working on PlayStation 4 games for 18 months or longer. That includes Guerrilla Games, who are hotly tipped to unveil their new project on Feb the 20th, most likely a new Killzone game. Sony Santa Monica, of God of War fame, are recruiting for next-gen systems, or were recruiting, and it's worth noting the next God of War game on PS3 is called Ascension, not God of War 4. Reports suggest that Evolution Studios, of MotorStorm fame, are working on a next-gen racer, and it was once mooted to be a Gran Turismo title. Most notably and most excitingly, Naughty Dog used a two-team development structure, And while the Uncharted 2 developers bounced onto The Last of Us, you can bet the Uncharted 3 team have been pretty busy with Uncharted 4. At launch, expect PS4's lineup to include lots of high-end PC ports, including all the key titles from EA and Ubisoft. At a guess, FIFA, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, etc. are near certainties. Edge magazine reports that PlayStation 4 will have a new controller that's the same size as a DualShock 3, but with a small PS Vita-style touchpad in place of the Start, Select and PS buttons. Most interestingly, there will be a share button, allowing users to share screenshots and video across social networks. PlayStation 4 will record 15 minutes of your recent gameplay, which you can edit and broadcast. All I can say is that I've heard the same from multiple sources, and the share function makes perfect sense. Back in 2012, the US site Kotaku rumoured that PlayStation 4 will lock out used games or ask you to buy an activation code to restore full functionality. Just days ago, Microsoft were rumoured to be locking out used games on the next Xbox. It's too contentious and too complex a topic to debate fully here. Tune back soon for another video perhaps, but don't rule it out. Our sources haven't confirmed it, but also felt used game lockouts were plausible. Respected Japanese news outlet Nikkei claimed PS4 would use Gakkai cloud gaming technology at launch. In time, this might allow full streaming of the entire PS back catalogue, like a sort of Spotify for games, but it's more likely to launch using smaller scale playable demos. Edge magazine claim a late 2013 release in the USA and Japan, with a Europe release in early 2014, a claim backed up by the Asahi News. Sadly for us Europeans, this makes sense, due to the complication of multiple languages within our territory compared to the primarily monolingual USA and Japan. The Asahi News suggested PS4 would cost over 40,000 yen, which is around $427. PS3 cost $499 at launch, and we wouldn't expect anything significantly cheaper. In the UK, think £350–400. It's all speculation, but early reports of a £200 PS4 seem wide of the mark, unless Sony changed the entire payment model and offer a scheme akin to a mobile phone, where you pay a little bit up front but commit to a contract for, say, an enhanced version of PS Plus. So that's it for now, but subscribe for all the latest PS4 info. We'll preview the PS4 unveiling on Feb the 19th, one day before, and tune back for our reaction from the experts. As ever, let us know what you think in the comments, if they're nice comments. Bye!